Hi guys, it is Ryan here from Disney Pin Love. No Laura today, although she'll probably help me with some editing and putting this together. But this is a little bit of a passion project for me, I suppose. Something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time, more than a decade probably. So this is a bit of a selfish indulgence, I suppose, and it's completely non-Disney related, so I'll preface that for you. But I've been inspired by some other vlogs that we've been watching recently where, people talk about goals and they're doing trip planning and they're sort of thinking about these bucket list experiences. And I feel like I've sort of been really, really fortunate and got to do something similar myself. And I've talked about it before in passing on the channel. But when I say this is selfish, I feel like I'm doing it more for myself. I'm not sure if it'll have a lot of entertainment value for anyone else, though hopefully we're going to give this a try. But I want to look back at some of my travel pictures and do a bit of a narrated slideshow. So it'll be a nice trip down memory lane, for me at least. And just something that'll help me preserve these memories because it's been a while, so things are starting to slip. Anyways, I'm just looking down at some notes because I want to keep this as crisp as possible. But this is going to be, again, sort of a look back on this really wonderful, to use a cliche, life-changing experience that I got to have, something that really broadened my horizons and that I'm so thankful for. So this is going to be a narrated slideshow. And this is an experience that I got to have through, my work at the time. So just to orient you and give you a bit of context, this goes back to a trip that I got to take for work, and I left on May 15th, 2009, and returned in October. So I was gone for, about five or 6 months there, and it was exactly 1 week to the day after I turned 22 years old that I was leaving, and it was like 2 weeks after I had finished my last university exam. As far as the job, it was, something that I was doing part-time throughout university. I started in my second year, and then once I was done school, I started doing it full-time. So, yeah, this all sort of coincided with me, finishing school, switching to full-time, and just freshly turning 22, I suppose. So on this trip, I was sent to Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. It was to do some training and business analysis work at an office we had over there. I was there, like I said, for the 5 months time, and I really tried to make the most of it. So I also got to do some other travel in the region while I was there. On 2 separate long weekends, I went to, Thailand, I went to Vietnam, and then in the middle of my time away, I spent about a week and a half in Japan. So I want to make this a 4-part series where I focus on the Philippines first, and then, a video each for Thailand, Vietnam, and Japan. So the only thing I'll say before I get started is just sorry for all of the things that I'm going to mispronounce. Okay, let's get into a closer look at the Philippines. So this is getting there. Quite an opulent experience for a 22-year-old getting to fly business class. I had a lie-flat sort of bed-like thing, one of those pods, and it was a 16-hour flight, so that was quite something. This is my room at the EDSA Shangri-La in Manila. So a very nice hotel. They have one in Toronto now, and Laura and I have stayed there. So remember, this is 2009, before the time of flat screen TVs, but it was, compared to student living, this was absolutely a 5-star experience. The view out the room, it was great. I got to see the pool and some of Metro Manila. And now just a few shots around the property. So, lots of money spent on flowers and beautiful grounds outside. So lots of paths and local flora and fauna. Lots of things to explore. I actually really love that sort of stacked rock work on this picture. Yep, watch out of the pool. If you dive, you will be cut in half. Loved going to the pool though. And this was the on-property spa, which I never set foot in, but again, just such beautiful grounds. This is where I would have my breakfast dash dinner sort of every work day. I say breakfast dash dinner because, we worked concurrent with the Eastern Standard Time business day. So we would, local time in Manila, we would work from like 8 at night till 5 in the morning. So I'd get back after work to the hotel and it was about 6 in the morning. And, what meal do you call it then? This is another hotel restaurant, a nice Japanese restaurant that was on property, so had a nice tapenaki-style dinner. Some friends at the local Starbucks that was right across the street from the office. And this is some friends from work. So, Alan and I, my capatid, my brother, my bro, we had so much fun together. That's Franco and Tony. This was pretty early on in my time there. We went out for a night of partying. And like I said, our schedule was great for that on the weekends. And you could go out all night and sort of stay until the sun came up. And that is what we did some weekends. This is a random pirate ship. Just, sort of a cool outdoor mall kind of complex. And sorry, all of these pictures are scattered because these are things that happened over the course of like a 5-month span. So there's not a lot of cohesion here, I know. This is Sean, a friend from work who was visiting from the East Coast. We got to do this great dinner cruise on Manila Bay hosted by some of the staff at the hotel, the Shangri-La, where we were staying. This was, again, Sean and I, we got to go to sort of a staff party. So this was sort of cool to get to have this like behind the scenes experience. So it was, such a fun night to get to hang out with all the people that, we hung out with sort of at the hotel every day. Hey, there's Sean doing a handstand. This is the Mall of Asia, the SM, that's a big mall chain over there. I just thought it was cool. They had a plaque about Inukshuk, so a little taste of Canada halfway around the world. This store is not what you think it is. So, cockfighting, I didn't see any of that, not my thing, but it is quite a big deal, or at least it was at the time. Just neat that the, Manila Bay, this huge mall, is right across the street from, beautiful nature. Team Manila, that was such a cool store. That's a really stylized look of Dr. Jose Rizal, who is very important to recent Filipino history. This was a fun day. After our work, 8 or 9 hours of work, we were out in the heat at the crack of dawn, because that is when we finished work. So this was Sean's local team, and I was invited, and we spent the day like playing paintball, boating, rock climbing, all around this beautiful nature park. So it was exhausting because by the end of it, you're up for like 24 hours straight, but it was such a cool thing to see. This is Intramuros, the old walled city. So again, important history here. This was, I believe, a tour that the hotel hosted for a few, long-staying sort of Westerner guest kind of people. So again, just shots around Intramuros. That's, again, Dr. Jose Rizal. He was, sort of overthrew the Spanish, if I remember correctly, and was actually a doctor and an optometrist. So quite the fortifications here. Rizal again. This was a beautiful cathedral. A lot of the Philippines is Catholic, actually, because of that sort of Spanish history. This was a city tour. So interesting to see, such new sort of developments. Those condos had helicopter pads on the roof. It's Rizal Park. Again, then just sort of into some different pockets of the city. I thought that chopped truck was sort of neat at the time. And interesting, frankly, in the developing world, that you see some of those lavish new condos, and then, you definitely see people living in situations like this as well. So this is very interesting. This is the American Cemetery. So this is the largest site for American troops outside of America, and this was done at the end of World War II, and particularly for the soldiers who fought in the Pacific Theater. So just absolutely gorgeous grounds, immaculately maintained as it should be, and it was really sort of a stoic thing to get to be there and see this in person. Pictures don't really do it justice, just as far as how beautiful the grounds were, and unfortunately how many grave sites there were there for all the fallen soldiers. So here's a few shots from a work celebration. So we're all sort of spiffied up, and now wine and beer. What am I doing? But this was what they called sort of a performers night to recognize top performers across the company in the local Filipino market. So, just hanging out with all my friends from work. So everybody dressed up to the nines. This was, at the time, like probably the nicest, most formal event I had ever attended. It was just beautiful. We went out afterwards, a little bit of an after party, hole in the wall place with some local music, and look what they sort of forced me into, little time on stage, but it was a lot of fun, and a really gracious band. Unrelated, I eventually bought an acoustic guitar, a Filipino one, just because I was missing that. This is into the very early days of me trying to play guitar. This is Pagsanjan Falls, so this was sort of a day trip about an hour and a half outside of Manila. This is where they filmed a lot of Apocalypse Now, actually. So again, some other people from my company attended, so that's who you're seeing in a lot of the pictures. Pictures don't do it justice. It sort of felt like you were in the Grand Canyon. If you look at the scale of the people compared to how high the walls are on the side, it was really something to be there in person. So our boatman worked very hard, sort of, even getting out of the boat and pulling us over some rocks at times. That's a picture of me and him right there. Like he was fantastic. I still remember that. And then sort of for the finale, we took this bamboo raft under a waterfall, and you can see that the waterfall there, it was huge, but it only the actual edge or cliff or whatever it is, the waterfall was only a third of it. So again, the pictures don't do justice for the scale of, it really felt like we were in the Grand Canyon. This is swimming in a little cave behind the waterfall. And then again, the boat ride back. And like I said, sometimes they have to get out of the boat and literally pull you over rocks and whatnot. Water buffalo and some kids having a splash, which was cool to see. That's a jeepney. That's, at the end of World War II, the Americans, the Philippines were an ally, but they left a lot of their old jeeps because that was more feasible than carting it back across the Pacific Ocean. We got to try some buko pie. I forget exactly what that was, but remember it being delicious. And now look at this. Back at the hotel, I had gotten upgraded, actually. They were doing some construction, so I got sort of a garden suite. This is Todd, Julie, and I from work. This was a random Saturday. I think we came home from work on Friday night, which, like I said, local time, it's Saturday. It's 5 or 6 in the morning. We've done our 8 or 9 hours, and we're getting into some beers. But it is weird because it is Saturday morning, technically. We went across the street to a mall. This picture always cracks me up. I don't know why. Just quite a name for a store. And hey, what do we find at the mall? There's an arm show going on. So of course we randomly decided to go in and check that out. So handguns done up like the Transformers, which must have been quite popular at the time. I actually fired a few rounds off myself. I had done marksmanship in high school, so it was just a weird, unique, surreal experience. And I think that's a tower of all the beers that we had before we left on this fun excursion. This is another day trip outside of Manila. This is Taal Volcano. It is, so there's a lake in the middle of a volcano, and then, that volcano is within a larger lake, which is in a larger volcano. So we, were driven to the top of the larger volcano. We took a boat to the base of the smaller volcano, and then we climbed that smaller volcano. So this is on the island with the volcano. You think soccer is the sport the world over, but in the Philippines, it's definitely basketball. So this is, again, some other folks from work. We're doing the climb, a lot of beautiful scenery. That picture sort of shows how steep it actually was at points. It was hard work, and it's pretty grueling heat and humidity. So just some more landscape shots here. And finally, must have made it to the top. So we're at the edge of the second volcano, looking down into sort of the lake that's within it. This was use at your own risk. I did not risk it. A dog. And Todd having a beer, which was well deserved by the time we finally got to the top. There's me, of course, way back when. And yeah, quite red earth up there. So, my photography's gotten a bit better. Cameras have gotten better too. I know these are not the greatest pictures, but it was just something to see and something I'll never forget. So we had a nice lunch after. We're not used to eating fish that way necessarily in North America, but I just went for it, and it was so delicious. This was fun. This was a night out with some local colleagues. We went to the the local club. So there's Franco, Milos, Todd, myself, and Alan. And Julie came along too, it looks like, and Patrick is there. So it was as you can see, quite a fun night we all had out on the town. I'm not a big Nine Inch Nails fan, but they happened to be playing, and I happened to actually get to meet, why am I blanking on his name right now? Trent Reznor. They were staying, the band was staying at the hotel I was staying at, so, I ended up bumping into them and sort of got to have breakfast with Trent Reznor, which was super cool. Like I said, I'm not necessarily a huge fan, but went to the concert because it was, when in Rome, the price was right. This is the opening band, a local one, Rico Blanco. Really, really cool Filipino band. And then, just a few pictures I tried to take because landed some pretty good seats to see Nine Inch Nails. So there's Trent and the band doing their thing. I was always looking for live music, so this is just a place I stumbled upon, Route 196. Didn't know anybody there. I went alone. I quickly made friends. Filipino people are incredible for that. So gracious and welcoming. So, just hung out and watched all these local live bands at this sort of hole in the wall, blues place. You see in the background, there was a poster from Michael Jackson. He passed away that summer, I remember. Again, not really particularly a Michael Jackson fan, but his music is huge in the Philippines. So, heard Michael Jackson all summer long. I'm also not a big sports fan, but had to go because got to check this out. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is the NBA All-Star team or something like that, coming to play a local Filipino team. So I think a bit of a goodwill kind of tour that probably the NBA does. I don't think these were active players at the time. They may have been retired for a few years, but I do know Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is legendary, so it was pretty cool to get to see that, even though I don't know a lot about the sport. This is my going away party, my despedida, as they say. So that was Patrick and I shooting some pool. We were doing some bowling. Other sort of Western colleagues from work, as well as so many of the local crew. So we just went out and had sort of all night shenanigans. Alan and I, Patrick and I, And, we had this great dinner, and then we went out to, again, this sort of dance club. Lots of fun was had, as you can see. They put me on stage with that band too. I don't know if there's any pictures of that, which is probably for the best, but we made it through a very sloppy, thanks to me, rendition of Sweet Child of Mine. So, there is a picture. Again, very gracious of the band. They were fantastic. This was sort of a last lunch at the office. We had some pizza. There's Sean and Julie, all my local colleagues, and again, some more. This is getting home, so it was very moving. I was sent with some goodies, a lot of surprises from my friends in the office on the very last day. They put this together for me, that guitar lamp. They know I play guitar, this mug with all these great pictures, a lot of autographs and really sweet messages. They made this book for me, Paalam, which is, goodbye or farewell. So everybody in the office had signed it, which was just so sweet. And that's something that absolutely I still have to this day. It's my basketball jersey they had made for me because we'd go play basketball sometimes after work. They thought I would be good because I was relatively tall. I'm terrible, but they were all really good sports about it. And just some shots of my passport. So that is it. That is the Philippines in a nutshell. I hope that was not too disorienting. I know we saw a lot of pictures, a lot of me talking, probably not the most engaging thing, but like I said, this was sort of selfish. This was something I was doing for myself. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for coming along, and we will do a few more of these.